Hello, I'm Jason Hall, and I teach 6th grade at Sebastian Elementary School in Breathitt County. I have about 60 students, and I teach the ELA and the social studies. And one of the things that I've discovered during my over 20 years teaching career is that sometimes the 6th graders will come to me and they won't be very motivated to want to read. I'll have a bunch that love reading, they're my high flyers, but I always get a few that it's kind of a struggle to get them interested in it. And I thought maybe if we came up with a podcast, it would give them a real life purpose for reading, and I thought this would be something that could motivate some of my students who aren't in love with reading already. I did a survey of my students on September 4th, shortly after I found out that I got the grant, and I found that when I surveyed them on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being they absolutely were not interested and 10 being that they just loved it, I found that when it comes to reading, a lot of my students this year really like it. About a little over 57% of them have a positive view of it, but on the flip side, I still have over a third of my class, 37%, that are not interested in it at all, and then I had a little over 5% that was in the middle. They didn't really like it, but they didn't hate it either. But when it came to research, I noticed that a lot of the students were really excited about that. Over almost 65% said they really liked that idea, and about 20% said they didn't. Where I teach social studies, we have to do quite a bit of research, and when the kids are doing their research, they're doing a lot of reading. And it's kind of interesting how they like doing the research, but to ask them if they like reading or not, a third of them don't. Now, writing about what they read in their research, over half the class didn't like the idea of it, and only a third of them like the idea of writing about what they read. And traditionally, our writing on demand scores is a weak subject area for us on K-Prep. So I really want to try to encourage the students to want to read, to develop their stamina when they can read longer passages for longer periods of time, because when they take that K-Prep, that test has such long passages for them. And with the writing, I'm hoping that they'll develop a lot. Now with the podcast, I'm not sure, I take it for granted everybody knows what a podcast is. I have a few podcasts that I really like to listen to. My favorite one is probably Pedagogy. I guess I'm a little nervous. I can't remember the whole title for it. And then there's another one, H3 Productions Podcast. It's really funny. And people can just listen to them as background noise when they do things. And a lot of the kids are really excited about the idea that they're going to publish something on social media like a podcast that other people might potentially listen to. But when we do this podcast, I want it to be centered around what we're reading in the classroom. We've just recently finished 2 novels, Bud Not Buddy and Out of the Dust, and I found that more kids really enjoyed those 2 books than what my data showed me their interest level, because they were high interest books. And with our podcast, they can talk about I can pull in different ELA standards and have them kind of write their script and be prepared for what they're going to say in their podcast. And that we also do quite a bit of writing in the other subject areas. We do a lot of, at our school, these LDC mini tasks and modules where they have writing and reading tasks that involve the content areas. And so with what they read and write in social studies or science, we can also bring that in to do their podcast. And I think that it's going to be something that's going to give them a real life purpose for it, and because they want to be featured, they're all going to want to do this activity. I did do in my research find that no matter how good your content, if you don't have a good sound quality, nobody wants to listen to it. So I wrote the grant for some microphones and for equipment that goes along with that, and so that we can make sure that it sounds good. I also got some speakers and headphones and things to listen to it. We'll record the sound. Right now we're thinking in a MacBook using GarageBand to kind of do the mixing for us. I have a co-teacher, Mr. Chapman, who teaches 6th grade science and math, and he actually owns a recording studio where they mix sound, have people come in and perform music and cut records and CDs and things like that. And I'm going to have him kind of help us with the sound mixing until we can get on our feet with it on our own. And then we're going to have it uploaded to one of the hosts. They'll let us do like an RSS feed, so it'll automatically load the podcast to platforms like iTunes and a few others.